Wonderful day, wonderful day, wonderful day indeed. This right here is your neighborhood sensei Fouché. And I always begin my shows by first strongly suggesting, because a lot of folks don't like being told what to do, true indeed. So moving forward, I most emphatically implore for all of you beautiful, wonderful, self-loving, worthy individuals to stay woke. But in the process, never get all stressed out, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you take all necessary meditative practices and procedures, including environmental change, when and if necessary, to relax. And always be prepared to take those notes. Oh man, it's been a minute since I did a Stay Woke conversation, but today's the day. On the 12th of January 2026, here in these states of America, where we are not united, believe that. But we not here to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? We here to focus on managing our emotions and being most aware and staying ahead of the curve. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to managing through what we call life, you know, and dealing with life. And we already went through the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. We went through the next novel, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Lindsay C. Gibson, you know. And that's going to lead us into this book right now that we're about to have conversations with each other moving forward next. And for me personally, in current moment in time, this book falls right in line with my most empathetic connection into understanding what we about to unpack. And this book is called Control Your Mind and Master Your Feelings by Eric Robertson. This book includes Breaking Overthinking and Master Your Emotions. And yeah, we're just going to kind of unpack into this. You know, I'm not even going to really go too much into an open dialogue. We're just going to go right into the reading expedition to unraveling this information. So in introduction chapter, we're about to prepare to unchain. Overthinking is undeniably one of the biggest causes of mental health illness. And believe me, there's a movie that I have called Caught Up with Bokeem Woodbine, and he states this line that I'll never forget. He said, thinking is as addictive as crack. Once you start, it's hard to stop. It results in depression, insomnia, anxiety, and self-destructive behaviors. This is because the individual does not know how to stop thinking, and so they obsess over things they cannot control or things they wish they had done or haven't done yet. And that's just overwhelming yourself with this worry. You know what I'm saying? Our minds become overwhelmed with the what ifs and all the mistakes we have made. You know what I'm saying? And I know I had that conversation just a minute ago. Honesty has me not holding the bag of guilt. So again, our minds become overwhelmed with the what ifs and all the mistakes we have made, the relationships that keep you guessing, the habits that you do automatically that you don't realize. Your body is wounded and your mind is tired. You know what I'm saying? Because you're hurt emotionally and then mentally you're worn out. You know what I'm saying? Because you're losing sleep, you're overthinking, you're replaying everything that happened like a skipped record. You know what I'm saying? If that isn't enough to keep our minds busy, our surroundings are cluttered, and you may feel as if you have no way out of this nightmare. So at the same time, you're untidy and you're a hoarder, and you're just living in gloom. You know what I'm saying? Like, shades are drawn, and that's like to the most extreme level of isolation. But basically, they're just saying you start to go into some deep, depressive direction of isolation. When you learn how to recognize your self-destructive behaviors as a result of overthinking, you will know how to beat the problem. And that's just kind of mastering your emotions, you know what I'm saying? I'm referring to negative thinking and over worrying about things that hold no importance in your life. And let me stop right there. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Kenny Rogers. And I was just making a specific reference regarding myself, if not yesterday, and I know it wasn't today, it might have been today, but it doesn't matter specifically, but I was stating that I had to learn how to move forward and not overprocess things that were beyond my control and wasn't my fault. You know what I'm saying? And not really overthink and try to overprocess something that really doesn't hold a lot of relevance. Let's say, for example, you at work and the person that you work with is in an extremely grumpy mood. You know what I'm saying? And all they doing is nitpicking all day and just, moping around and, just rambling and mumbles, all of this jibber jabber, whatever. And it's really causing a damper in the immediate work environment. Now, once you leave the work environment, you know what I'm saying, are you going to just like hold on to that energy or that feeling that person incurred in that moment and just bring that into your home and just kind of overwhelm and overprocess the people that live with you? And even if you live alone, you go into this isolation and this depression, thinking or feeling like you were in some form an instigator and as well into being attacked somehow. So then you start finding somewhere in regards to where you possibly was at fault into an extra inclusion of their frustration. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you have to kind of be like, yo, that person, they always like that. And you know what I'm saying? That's just the way they live their life, is just depressed and angry. So, you know what I'm saying? Why am I going to, worry about that? As long as they don't cross any boundary lines that I created into letting them know how far I'm going to let them extend that towards my direction, then I'm going to just let it go. The only reason it feels as though these things are important is that you have been stuck in your own mind for so long that you don't know how to escape it. Breaking overthinking, of course I need some water. Breaking overthinking will teach you about what happens in your mind that leaves your body stressed. It will also teach you the many ways on how to cope and overcome these feelings. These are 5 fictional chains that you have to break in order to solve the problem of overthinking. These 5 chains: a cluttered mind, the wounded body, surroundings, habits, and toxic people. Man, I'm living this right now. I'm telling you, man. Like I don't even need to read. We're doing this for the formality, but I'm living in the form of what I learned into deeply exploring all of these novels. Like all of these novels that I'm covering, like I've read through these things 3-4 times, as well as listened to the audio books about 2, 3, 4 times each as well, on top of the reading expedition, along with highlighting through the reading expedition after I read it initially. Through the second or definitely probably through the second read, I am definitely going through the highlight mode. But anyway, let's move forward. Did you know that the rise in depression and anxiety rates have stemmed from overthinking? Overthinking and excessive worrying has become more and more of a problem in today's society. And I really disagree. There's just more people, but I believe that, this stress and anxiety has always existed because, there's always this most political atmosphere that overwhelms society just into keeping law, order, rule, and control. This continues to happen because no one knows how to fix their lives, and it honestly takes a lot of dedication to get there. Boom. I was just saying this earlier. It takes a lot of work. Consistent, every moment application, beyond every day. How many of your friends do you know that are not overthinkers lead a positive and healthy life? And let's read that again. How many of your friends do you know that are not overthinkers lead a positive and healthy life? Sure, they don't have everything together. Their lives aren't perfect, but they sure are getting sleep at night. Their relationships seem happy, and their lives are fulfilling. If you want that, then a positive mindset and healthy downtimes can really help you towards that goal. Now we're about to go into chapter 1. You know what I'm saying? We're about to unpack the introduction and the first chapter. Chapter 1. Meet your opponent. We're about to dig in. Really, really, really dig this. Really dig this. Overthinking can accompany most people that have problems with negative thoughts and excessive worrying. While worrying and negative thoughts have significant impacts, did you know that overthinking can become a disorder? It becomes a disease. Dis-ease. Most people with overthinking disorder also grapple with associated anxiety or other mood disorders. However, overthinking disorder and anxiety disorders are not the same. To sum it up in one sentence, a good explanation for overthinking disorder is when people think about something for too long and or too much while being unable to redirect their minds to something else. Overthinking can be about one thing or many things at once. You know what I'm saying? It don't even have to be about a whole bunch of things. It could be one thing that has your mind bugging out in all kind of different directions and having emotional disorder and disorganization. However, it is defined as thinking about whatever the issue is with an inability to redirect the mind. This can cause other things to happen, like obsessing over the past or worrying about the future. And like we was talking about initially in the Power of Now, that's called trapping yourself in time. You're still thinking about a past and hopeful for a future, and you are not present. The future is going to be your present. And if you are not present and you just in zombie mode, then your future is in zombie mode too. Like there is no pot at the end of the rainbow, because in your now moment, you just sinking in quicksand. Overthinking, excessive worry, and negative thinking patterns become intertwined and all wrapped up together can cause extreme feelings of anxiety and may result in social disasters or becoming socially afraid. As weird as it may sound, again, as weird as it may sound, it is normal to worry about your life and everything that is happening in it. It's a normal thing. We all worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Moving on. First, ask yourself, when I overthink, does it result in overwhelming feelings of anxiety or panic? When I overthink, do I get headaches? Do I overthink so much that it stops me from living my life? Do simple tasks seem daunting or worrisome? You can't wash the dishes. You can't cook a meal. You can't do your laundry. You can't vacuum your living room. If your answers are yes, then you may be at risk for having or developing an overthinking disorder. You don't even want to bathe. If you experience one or more of these symptoms while you overthink, then you may have or are developing a disorder from overthinking. Difficulty holding effective communication with someone due to readdressing the same concern or thought repeatedly until the conversation ends. Comparing yourself to others and feeling as though you have to measure up to them or give in to their expectations or think that they look down on you. Insecurity, right? Always thinking about the worst case scenarios, catastrophizing everything all the time. Or catastrophizing everything. I think that's the correct pronunciation. Catastrophizing everything all the time. Reliving and obsessing over past failures, or what you could have, should have, would have done, to the point where you cannot seem to get past it. Nobody never wants me. I can never find the right woman, or I can never find the right man. I always run into bad people. You just attracting what you continuously talk about connecting to. You know what I'm saying? Not about, forward thinking into, the people that you're going to be around, as opposed to what you was already around, or always talking about what you're used to being around. You need to talk about what you're going to be around differently and the different environments that you plan to associate in. Excessively worrying about the future until every goal or task feels close to impossible to accomplish. Being unable to cope with past trauma due to constant overthinking about the event. Those are two deep things. Excessively worrying about the future until every goal or task being close to impossible to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? You so worried about what you hope for that you ain't even accomplishing what's going on now. You just hoping that the future is going to fix the present. But if you ain't dealing with the present, then that future is never going to materialize. And that's what it basically says. Being unable to cope with past trauma due to constant overthinking about the event. Every single time something goes wrong, you always go all the way back. You know what I'm saying? All the way back. Let's rewind the tape. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like listening to Chris Berman on the Monday Night Football before. Let's roll back the tape. Or I can't remember who, but anyway, you get the idea. Inability to slow down or stop thinking or worrying and experiencing overwhelming emotions associated with your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like, all you keep doing is racing in your mind about all these things that could happen, what happened, instead of like decompressing and just breathing. You know what I'm saying? Everyone thinks differently, so everyone obsesses differently as well. As these symptoms develop, you may feel as though you are socially awkward or are harshly judged in social settings due to the inability to control your emotions and negative thoughts. This can result in the avoidance of going out, which then creates an even more vicious cycle in the overthinking process, because negative thoughts pop in your head about which you are good, about whether, Negative thoughts pop in your head about whether you are good enough. Due to having an overthinking disorder, you may find it difficult to enjoy hobbies, be productive at work, and socialize due to the energy you spend on obsessing or trying to perfect everything in your life. This vicious cycle can be extremely damaging to your health and your brain. Further, due to the fear of what to say, how you say something, and how someone else will take what you have to say, you may find it hard to make friends or maintain relationships. And that's basically like, you know that you're an over-worrier, you're an overthinker, and you're always susceptible to say the wrong thing, because you're always over caught up in your emotions. So your communication maturity is at, more of an elementary level. And that lack of confidence is definitely more than likely fail you when you try to somehow find a sparkling of courage to try to engage and interact socially. And this is usually encouraged by someone else in some closer connection to you that you chose to let in, and they want to try to help you, and if you aren't most accepting to being more open in an unfamiliar environment, which will probably be initially uncomfortable, then you're going to fall back into a fight, flight, and flee type of action. Overthinking is the same definition as a worrywart. Overthinking can impact your social life, your career, and your personal life. Eventually, this type of overthinking can have significant wear and tear. The truth is, you need to start accepting that you cannot perfect everything. You are not a mind reader, and as hard as you try, you cannot stop bad things from happening, nor can you stop yourself from walking into bad situations. Anxiety is a natural response our body implements to react to stress. Although anxiety is a normal response to future events, some people may call it being nervous. However, anxiety becomes a problem when it controls your waking life. In extreme cases, will stop you from socializing, going out, trying new things, flying, entering an elevator, and you may even avoid leaving your home. It can affect anyone at any age and is one of the most common mood disorders. Anxiety disorders take many forms, and there are different types. Panic disorder. Overwhelming or intense fear and impending doom at any given time for no apparent reason, known as panic attacks. Phobia. Overwhelming fear of a certain or particular object, situation, place, or activity. Social anxiety disorder, or SAD. Excessive fear of being judged by others in social events. Obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. Repeated irrational thoughts that lead to performing repetitive actions and behaviors such as counting, washing hands, or overly organizing. Separation anxiety disorder, feeling extremely homesick when being away from home or feeling detached from reality when being away from loved ones. Illness anxiety disorder, intense fear about your health, also known as hypochondria, stemming from feelings of paranoia or almost everything. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, flashbacks or recurrent memories of past traumatic events resulting in overwhelming fear and anxiety. For everyone, symptoms of anxiety are different and cannot be felt the same in two individuals that suffer from the disorder. You may experience nightmares or insomnia, panic and anxiety attacks which are not the same, intrusive thoughts, or painful memories that you cannot control. Other symptoms are as follows. Give me a moment, just seeing how much further we have, because I plan on covering this whole chapter, of course. So, there we go. All right. Difficulty falling and staying asleep. Hyperventilating. Feelings of impending doom. Sweating. Unable to focus or concentrate. Dizziness. Headaches. Restlessness. Increased heart rate. Distress. Always feeling tense or on edge. Constant uncontrollable worry. Chills and hot flashes. Choking feelings. Overwhelming fear. Numbness or tingling in certain parts of your body. These symptoms can happen all at once or one at a time and are often experienced during a panic attack. These symptoms can happen to you if you have an overthinking disorder as well. Anxiety and worry are two separate mental states occurring in different regions of the brain. You can experience worry without anxiety and vice versa. However, most of the time, one triggers the other, and these tend to go hand in hand. In short, worrying is overthinking about problems that may or may not have happened yet, and anxiety is what you feel inside your body when you worry. And if you didn't quite get that, let's go back right quick. In short, worrying is overthinking about problems that may or may not have happened yet. And anxiety is what you feel inside your body when you worry. One is an action and the other one is a reaction. Worrying is cognitive based and occurs in the mind. The prefrontal cortex region of your brain interacts with the limbic system, which is responsible for sending signals to the rest of your body and controls your emotions and intuition. The same neurons used for planning and problem-solving skills are the same neurons used for when we worry. That's why it's hard for us to process, you know what I'm saying, and problem solve. Because that worry is the wrench in the wheel. The main difference is the amount of emotional attachment we put into problem solving as opposed to worrying. When these regions of the brain are taken over by excessive worry or overthinking, you may struggle with accessing the planning and problem solving neural structure that would normally allow you to focus on a given task or building connections with others. It's like, if you at work and you used to doing a task and you in a routine, you're going to flow. If you worry, you could be distracted off of that flow unless you are so channeled from an energy standpoint and being emotionally in control to where you don't let it overwhelm you. You don't let those feelings overwhelm you in spite of you having to function through a career or a work-related moment of the day. The main difference is the amount of emotional attachment we put into problem solving as opposed to worrying. And I was just reading that before, but I guess I'm reading it over. When these regions of the brain are taken over by excessive worry or overthinking, you may struggle with accessing the planning and problem solving neural structure that would normally allow you to focus on a given task or building connections with others. Instead, worry takes over, making it difficult to make wise decisions and maintain healthy change. While excessive worrying is often all in your head, anxiety develops from the excessive worry and sends high cortisol hormones throughout your body, resulting in attacks. Like worrying or overthinking, anxiety is associated with the limbic system, which interacts with the amygdala, hippocampus. Again, amygdala. Like worrying, we're going to go over. Like worrying or overthinking, anxiety is associated with the limbic system, which interacts with the amygdala, hippocampus, and hypothalamus structures of your brain, all of which are responsible for you feeling fear. The limbic system is more responsible for trend spotting, idea connecting, and pattern finding, the skills needed for problem solving and planning. So what is the main difference between worrying and anxiety? It occurs when least expected, or you may feel anxious all the time, as if your brain is on overload and you are a time bomb waiting to go off. Worrying is easier to calm down and is not necessarily life-changing, whereas anxiety is a state of being that can change and rule your life. It's an addiction. There are different types of negative thinking which come in two forms: worry, rumination. Worry and rumination. Meant to separate those. Let's define these things. Worrying is when you think about something or constantly stress over something that may or may not be a problem. However, you make it a problem and obsess over thoughts and images, which then create negative feelings, which can result in something negative happening. I have to read that over because it's a typo. However, you make it a problem. I go back all the way. Worrying is when you think about something or constantly stress over something that may or may not be a problem. However, you may make it a problem and obsess over thoughts and images, which then create negative feelings, which can result in something negative happening. This negative way of thinking is often uncontrollable and overwhelming for future events. Rumination is when someone uncontrollably forms negative thoughts centered on themselves. They obsess over past failures and what could have happened if they did things differently. The common emotion stemming from rumination is often depression. The main aspect of worrying, overthinking, and negative thought patterns are that you constantly stress and worry over things you can't control, like past and future events. The best thing to do to take care of this is to accept that what is done and the future is untold. So all that matters is what you can do right now. What you do in the present can help you learn from past mistakes and alter your perception of what will happen in the future. Worrying only causes stress, and it takes practice to get out of this habit. By worrying so much, you are actually training your brain to become tense and overdriven, which is the main reason why fear, anxiety, and feelings of sadness and guilt can happen. Often, people will develop an unhealthy habit to cope with their overstressed mind as a way to turn off the negativity. People can develop a drinking, drug, and or smoking habit, which may settle the mind temporarily, but then causes other problems on its own. Maybe harming oneself or lashing out feels better than living inside your head. Also, work productivity and loss of enjoyment and activities may happen. Suddenly, you find yourself sitting alone, thinking even more about all your mistakes, and so it becomes a vicious cycle. The problem here is that you are not fixing your core issue. Overthinking, you are making it worse. What's a cognitive distortion, you ask? Cognitive distortion. We're going to talk about the POTUS right now in these cognitive exams like it's some great thing that these tests are always happening. Stemming from overthinking patterns, cognitive distortions are ways that our brain tricks us into believing something is certain when it actually is very false. Right? When it comes to the POTUS, right? Cognitive distortion. Instead of, talking about I'm passing these cognitive exams, they're asking me what a giraffe is and does this circle fit inside this circle? Right. So again, what's a cognitive distortion, you ask? Well, I'll be happy to define it again. Kind sir, Mr. Sensei Fouché, Mr. Smarty Pants. Stemming from overthinking patterns, cognitive distortions are ways that our brain tricks us into believing something is certain when it is actually very false. They serve no purpose and are unhealthy ways that our brains keep us in a bad frame of mind, repeating the negative thinking cycle that we have in the first place. Even though the thoughts may sound rational, they are not, and are just excuses to continue feeling bad about ourselves and the world around us. 8 of the most common cognitive distortions are as follows. Filtering. Filtering is about someone talking or someone taking negative details and magnifying them and filtering out all the positive possibilities to do with the situation. Black and white thinking. All or nothing. It's either be perfect or completely fail. This type of thinking has nothing in between. You are either extremely happy or the exact opposite. You are either very positive or very negative. There is no compromise with this way of thinking. Overgeneralization. This cognitive distortion may make you think that based on one single incident that this is the way it is. No turning back or moving forward. Meaning this same thing based on a single piece of evidence will happen again and again as a never-ending pattern of defeat. Jumping to conclusions, This way of thinking says that you know exactly what someone feels or thinks about you without any evidence proving your conclusion. You fortune tell everything. You fortune tell everything. And just seem to know exactly what to expect with nothing to back up your conclusions. Catastrophizing. No matter what happens, there is going to be a disaster. In this distortion, you may hear about a problem, then question the what-ifs about the whole thing, and come up with an absolute nightmare as a solution. Emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning means that because you feel a certain way, that is obviously true or going to come true. And I kind of stumbled. Emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning means that because you feel a certain way, that it's obviously true or going to come true. Minimization. You minimize even the good things that are happening to you and make every outcome a negative one. Disqualifying the positive. This means that nothing positive ever happens to you because you don't see things this way. You'll never see any positive things. Everything's negative. You focus on the negative things. Knowing how to identify these cognitive distortions is the first step to overcoming them, regardless of whether you identify yourself with one or multiple distortions. What is stress? Stress is any type of change that is put on your body that requires adjustment in your life. Stress is normal and is with you every day, brought on by how you feel and perceive what happens to you. Stress does not have to be negative, as it can motivate you, keep you alert, and inspire you to handle whatever comes your way. It only becomes dangerous or difficult to manage when you continuously undergo stress without taking some downtime or relaxation from it. Continuous stress turns into distress, which can lead to headaches, upset stomachs, muscle tension, increased blood pressure, weight gain or dramatic loss of weight, and difficulty getting enough rest. This type of stress can be brought on by overthinking or worrying too much. Such worrying can result in developing disorders such as anxiety, depression, heart disease, cancer, lung ailments, and in worst case scenarios, suicide. Stress is a serious matter and must be taken care of right away. In order to decrease the amount of stress in your life, you may want to keep a healthy routine that balances self-care, self-kindness, exercise, healthy diet, and positivity. Take breaks from the world and make time just for you. Manage your time effectively and don't take on more than you can handle. Learn to say no and do something for yourself before you take care of others. Rethinking past stressful situations. Replaying a stressful event is not going to do you any good because it has already happened, and the only way to change it is to live in the moment for right now. Take time to be mindful and meditate while thinking positive things, such as inhaling and thinking I am, then exhaling and thinking peaceful. Procrastination. This is perhaps the most common stress increaser because the more you procrastinate about something, the more you put it off. And whether it's important or not, it needs your attention. If you feel you are stuck in this trap, you may feel frustrated. This is where time management comes in. Look at your to-do list and learn how to prioritize. Then break the most needed things to smaller portions so the list doesn't seem so overwhelming. Tackle one task at a time. And that exactly is what I always emphatically implore after I first strongly suggest to people. Like when you have a major goal, like break it down into sections, into smaller goals, and complete these smallest goals at its sooner moment. And the more you're able to accomplish all of these smallest tasks at its soonest moment, you're going to wind up having the end result a whole lot sooner than later. Showing up late. No one likes to be late, and sometimes being late is completely out of your control. Like traffic backup or kids. Like traffic backup or kids and last minute appointments. Other reasons for being late may include you saying yes to things you really didn't want to, or may be overwhelmed or afraid to attend. And I used to be notorious for being late. I used to live my life being late. I was running late for school. I was late for work. I used to live with these big circle pits under my arms in my earliest years because I was always trying to catch up. I was always running. Know when to say no due to an overload you already have. Practice on not feeling guilty, but work on making it up to them. You need to take care of yourself first. And to add on to that, like you need to reschedule your schedule and account for the possibility of being late. So for myself, I would leave, maybe 20, 25 minutes earlier than normal. Because what else am I doing? I could assure that I'm on time. And if I need to, I could be more in a relaxed and comfortable process, walking into work and beginning my workday as opposed to rushing into the beginning of my workday. Worrying about money that is already gone. This type of stress causing worry is a form of overthinking and is actually much like the first stressor on the list. It is unnecessary and doesn't need to take up your attention because the past is the past. The truth is that money comes and goes and shouldn't hold as much importance to people as it does. Like you lose $20. Initially, you could be upset, but don't hold on to that for the next 2-3 days. Like once the day is over, let it go the next day, and figure it out. You can't get that $20 back. So over worrying about it is not helping at all. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to get kicked out of your home over $20 unless, you have a bad rental management history and you can't be trusted. So again, it said, the truth is that money comes and goes and shouldn't hold as much importance to people as it does. You can and will make more or get more, and you will always spend it. However, creating a savings plan is the most beneficial step for you to take if obsessing over the fact that it's gone has you completely fretting. Like have an emergency fund, and that's what they was going to say next. Make an emergency fund, then pretend it's not there. You know what I'm saying? That's just a stash, and you ain't even thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? It's just part of your habit that you create. Like instead of spending money on that alcohol, like put that money into an emergency savings. Make a list of the reasons why you would need to pull from the fund. This way you won't stress that you don't have any money, and the list will help you decide whether you need something badly enough to put from your emergency fund or not. If your car is always breaking down, but you have a drinking, you drink because you worry. Like if you spending that money on the worry and the drinking, then that's less money on getting your car fixed. So start to drink less and put the money into something you're trying to avoid. Because you don't want to be over drinking. You just want to be able to have an available backup plan in case something goes wrong with your transportation. Then you're not stressed out and you have no reason to overdrink. Clutter. whether it is on your mind or on your desk, is actually your subconscious mind telling you that you are overworked. It may not feel like it, but clutter can be a big stressor, especially if you are the type of person to stay on top of things and be organized. Don't let the clutter bother you. Set aside some time to go through your clutter, mentally and literally, and do something about it. And that covers chapter 1 of our novel of Moment, Control Your Mind and Master Your Feelings by Eric Robertson. And it is a moment by moment practice. And I'm going to tell y'all straight up because, the thing that I'm going through personally, to not put too much energy into it, is a residential transition due to a relationship breakdown and also a demise of trust. And, going through the process of the unacceptance and the unaccountability, the other person is not embracing, then it makes it an extreme focus to keep into the control of how I'm thinking and mastering the control of how I'm feeling, to not get caught up into the traps of distraction that are trying to be created to take me off of my focus and minimize their primary inclusion into what developed into what became to be a breakup. The end of a relationship, you know what I'm saying? And it could go in extremely immature direction if you don't have at least one adult in the room. If you have 2 adults in the room, then it usually goes a whole lot more smoothly. And if you don't have an adult in the room on either side, then it'll be completely disastrous. You know what I'm saying? And on that note, I'm going to just state until our next moment, this is your neighborhood Sensei Fouché, and I always state that I first strongly suggest, before emphatically imploring, for all of you beautiful, wonderful, self-loving, worthy individuals to stay woke. But in the process, never get all stressed out, you know what I'm saying? Take all necessary meditative practices and procedures, including environmental change when and if necessary, to relax. And always be prepared to take those notes. Be smooth in unity. 1.